Hey everybody, this is Randy with Carchaeology, and behind me is probably the most spectacular thing that has ever graced the floor of the lab. Let me tell you the story of how this crazy-ass Mercedes ended up here. So I was planning on going to Monterey Car Week, and it was something that I had been working on for months, preparing a car to go to 3 different events for the week. I had a client's car that was going through auction. We did a lot of a negotiation and hand-holding in the process of getting that up there, and I so wanted to be there with him when his car crossed the block. Plus, I really wanted to be up there amongst the car people and having a good time. It's a fantastic place to network, and there are vehicles that you will see there in Monterey that you will never see anywhere else on Earth. It really is the Super Bowl when it comes to the classic car scene. And unfortunately, my plans got dashed because I got COVID. So I stuck it out here at home. Didn't want to go up there and get anybody sick, obviously. And even though I was feeling better right at the beginning of Monterey Car Week, looking at the CDC guidelines and that sort of thing, I was probably still infectious. And really, I'm glad that I stayed home for a couple different reasons. One is my conscience was clear and that I didn't get anybody else sick. But number two, I came across this baby. So I'm pissed off, really bummed out, moping around the house, and spending all my time looking at the computer at car stuff, whether it be photos of what was happening at Car Week or trolling Facebook in the different car groups that I'm a member of. And in one of those car groups, I came across a post from a gentleman that had pulled a really neat old Packard out of a barn. And I wasn't really interested in the Packard, but I knew what it was about, and I started up a conversation with him in hopes to kind of educate him on what he had found and maybe help him out with it in some way. And so we started up a great conversation, went back and forth. I told him what he had was a standard 8 rather than a super 8 and so on and so forth. And then when he started getting offers in and stuff, he told me what he had been offered, and I said, that's pretty solid money, take it. In any case, the conversation went really well and we hit it off. And in the process of that conversation, he told me that the place that he got the Packard had some other cars. And I said, well, tell me what they are. Maybe I can help you with those as well. So he sent me some photos from the barn where these cars were stashed. And one of the cars that in his eyes was the most spectacular was a 1934 Rolls-Royce. And as far as Rolls Royces go, it was actually a pretty cool one. This one had a very stylish Thrupp and Maberly body on it. A lot of the Rollses of the era were real square and stodgy. This one was really pretty stylish. But it was your basic black Rolls saloon. And being a Rolls Royce, they seemed to want quite a bit of money for it. Wasn't something that I was really interested in, but I did spy in the background behind that Rolls a little glimpse of red that caught my attention. And so I asked him, what's the red car? Can you tell me about that? And he said, well, the family said it's a Mercedes. They think it's a 1941. And so I said, well, I'm really, really, really super interested in that car. He was going to go back to the property about a week and a half after this conversation. And I said, please, get me some photos, get me some video, any information, find out what they want for it, and let me know. Please, give me first chance at this car. And he promised he would do so. So that time went by, and then he sent me a video and some photos that were really, it must have been dark in there. The car was packed in really tight against the sidewall. You really couldn't get clear access to this vehicle at all. So he did the best that he could, holding a flashlight and his phone to get a little walk around video of the car, a couple of still photos of it sitting there. And this whole time, I'm trying to pick out little clues on this car to figure out what the living heck it is. Okay, it's a Mercedes. We've established that. But I'm seeing details on this car that I've not seen on any other Mercedes of the era. And that sort of stuff just drives me frickin' crazy, totally gets into my brain. I wake up in the middle of the night. I got to figure out what this is. And so I continued the hunt. He sent me more photos, sent me this video. And I said, whatever it is, I want it. Please, please see what the family will want for the car and let me know. And I will absolutely make it well worth your time to put this deal together. So he spoke to the family. They weren't quite ready to let it go. There's a couple of brothers in the family. They were trying to discuss what they wanted to do with it. And so I just kind of left it with him. I said, please just kind of keep on it. Don't let it slip away. And if they give you a price, give me a shout. So the very next morning, he calls me and he said, load up your truck and trailer. And I'm like, okay, well, why? He said, well, they've set a price on the car. And if you want it, it's this much. And now, granted, think about this for a minute. I have no idea really what this car is. I've not seen any full photos of it. I don't know if it's rotted out from the bottom. The car is in the Midwest of the U.S., not an area that's known to preserve steel very well. But the price was at a point where I thought, you know what? I just have a feeling about this thing. I'm going to go for it. And so I said, yes, let's make it happen. Where do I send the money? So I was on my way out of town that morning to go pick up a dune buggy up in Northern California. But I stopped by the bank and I wired this guy the funds. And then I got on the road and I drove and I'm freaking out because I just sent this guy that I don't really know a sizable chunk of money for a car that he doesn't own that's technically in the next state over from where he is located, and I don't know what the hell it is I'm buying. So fortunately, he was good with communication, and when the wire transfer hit, he said, okay, the money's here, so that's good. So I had a fairly good idea that this guy wasn't just going to take me, it wasn't a scam, but still, he couldn't make it out to the property to where the car was for another few days. So again, it's just eating a hole in my head. Number one, what sort of crazy thing am I doing buying a car that I have no freaking clue what it is? And number two, is this deal actually going to go down? So a couple days later, he shows up, sent me a text saying that he's on his way. So I know he's on his way there. Watching my phone, just looking for any sort of sign of life. I get a text from him at one point that just says, Houston, we've got a problem. And I totally lose my shit because I'm thinking here is where this whole deal falls apart. And so I'm tripping really hard. And I gave myself a couple minutes, composed myself, and then I gave him a call. And I'm like, okay, well, what's the problem? And it turns out the problem really wasn't a problem at all. It was just clerical related stuff. And so we worked through that very quickly. And I said, game on, let's roll with it. So he paid them for the car, got a bill of sale, sent me a picture of that. So I know it's like game on. I just bought this thing, but what did I buy? And so then I'm watching my phone for any photos of it, any video of it. And I asked him to take some of that and share it with me so I could share it with you guys as well. So they moved some cars out of there. The Rolls Royce was in the way. There was a bunch of other stuff there. And it took quite a bit of digging for them to get to a spot where they could access the whole car. But that first image of the car exposed absolutely blew my frickin' mind. This thing was mind-blowingly spectacular. This is not a standard production Mercedes by any stretch of the imagination. I have never seen a photo of this car anywhere online in any of my Mercedes books, any of this stuff. It just, wow, spectacular, very streamlined, very, very French in design, which is strange for a German car. But I'm screaming. I'm just like, oh my God, I can't believe I actually am buying this car and it's going to come to me. So they wrestled with getting it out of there. It was buried in there fairly deep. Again, they had to move some stuff around. They got creative with using a cable and a board underneath it to kind of drag it sideways to get it out. And then comes the video of it actually getting out into the sun and a little walk around so you can see the beauty of this whole thing. I've never been so excited looking at my phone ever in my freaking life as I was at this moment. And the whole time I'm just freaking out. This car is really spectacular. I still don't know at all what it is, but I know it's rad and I'm super excited that it's going to be coming my way. Then he sent me a few more photos after he got it loaded up on the truck, including some details. And one of the details that he sent me was a picture of a body tag that was on the side, on the driver's side, just forward of the door. And that one absolutely set my excitement level completely on fire because it was a body tag from the coach builder, Friedrich Romich, in Berlin, Germany. Now, that probably doesn't mean much to any of you guys, but to me, Romich is something that has been a part of my life in several intersections. Back in the 1980s, I had a really good friend that was at all the VW shows that had a coach-built bodied Volkswagen that was done by Romich. And he and I became friends. We've traveled the world together. We actually went to Berlin to visit the Romich factory, or what remained of it, back in the mid-90s. Over the years, through my oldbug.com website, I've handled the sale of several Romich cars. I've actually had 2 Romich-bodied Volkswagens in this very garage where this car sits today. So it just the fact that it was a Romich car and I had never heard of it, I just lost my mind. Now, I've got friends in Germany that actually run the Romich Museum. Now, granted, this is a really small museum. This is maybe a 2,000 square foot museum with 6 cars in it. That gives you an idea as to how small the Romich world is. But I know that they've got factory archives there, as well as some of the tooling, the wood body bucks that they formed bodies off of, and all sorts of things. And I visited their museum in 2017 with my family. And so I sent a note off to Christian that runs the museum, and I said, have you ever heard of a Romich Mercedes? And his response immediately was no. And so I sent him pictures of the car and the badge, and the phone rang 30 seconds later, and he was blown away. Now, he did say that in early records of Romich that there were some off-brand cars that had come through the workshop. And he had seen Mercedes, Maybach. There were some other cars, Alfa Romeo. There were a whole bunch of different cars that Romich did custom bodies for. But they are best known for their Volkswagen-based ones, which is obviously where my connection comes in. In any case, he told me he would look through the archives once I got him the chassis number, and he would try to find out who owned the car or perhaps what Romich actually did to it. So anyway, as things are going on, it's crazy. This car is on the other side of the country, and I want it here as soon as humanly possible. I'm making phone calls, I'm staring pictures, I'm Googling like crazy, trying to find out what it's all about, and I'm trying to find a truck driver that can pick it up. Now, through a friend, I found a hauler that could actually pick the car up the very same night that it was pulled out of the barn. And once it was actually in the truck, and I received the image of it in there, now on its way to me, it was a huge exhale. It was in the truck, and it's on its way to me, and I can't sleep until it shows up. So it was picked up on a Monday evening. Saturday afternoon, the truck driver pulls up here to the lab, and you can see it here in my face. I'm so excited because I know it's on the truck, and it's like Santa Claus for me. I was pacing grooves in the floor here at the house, waiting for this car to show up. And finally it arrives and comes out of the truck, and we drag it up here into the driveway and then eventually into the lab. And actually being able to touch it, to know that it's real, to know that it showed up here, and to see it in full scale and see what I bought was pretty awesome. And in short, I think this is probably one of the best finds that I've ever come across. So fortunately, the car is really quite complete. The body is actually really solid. Now, there are a few small pieces missing, but they're digging through the barn trying to find those items. And yesterday I got a text that they actually found a box full of stuff for the car, which includes the missing door handles and some hardware and things that would be nearly impossible to find. And during the time that it's been here, I've really not touched it. All I've done is stare at it and study it and then try to learn. So I'm waiting for info from my contacts over at the Romich Museum. The title's in transit. Once I've got paperwork, I can contact Mercedes, prove to them that I'm the legal owner of the vehicle, and then they will provide factory history on the car. And so I'm excited about that. And obviously, when it arrived, I got an idea as to what it really was. I didn't even know what model it was. I wasn't even really sure what year it was. The bill of sale, they called it a 1940, but there were a lot of details on the car that were earlier than that, and some details that are a bit later than that. So it's a 1940. It's a model W142, 320. It's a two-door, four-seater convertible. They built... In 1940, they built, I think it's a total of 68 320 model cars. That's it. All body styles, 68 of them. The most desirable ones would be the 320A, so the short little convertible. Probably the next one would be the 320B or a 320C, also the convertible. And then getting into the sedans and that sort of thing, the intrigue and value goes down a little bit. But when it comes to the coach-built body, the one thing is that's the biggest mystery to me is who owned the car, who was able to buy a Mercedes convertible in 1940 in Germany, and then have the money to have a custom coach-built body built for it. Now, you had to be pretty high-ranking there during World War II to have that kind of money to throw around. So whoever the past owner is of this car, that's going to be really fun to find out, and I hope to be able to dig up that information. I'm hoping that through the Romich records, we might be able to find some production information as to exactly when the modification was done. It's very possible that the mods on the body were done post-war, because right during World War II, especially around 41, 42, 43, that kind of a thing, Romich really turned their production into wartime efforts. So unless they were building a staff car for somebody, they were doing things like mobile kitchens and stuff for the military. So it's very possible that this vehicle sat until post-war before its modification. And it's also possible that it was started pre-war and then finished after war. So there's a lot to figure out there, but it's really, really spectacular. So that's my quick story of the 1940 Mercedes 320 and how it came my way. Now, I definitely plan on following up with more videos of this car as I come up with the actual history of it. As it is right now, I'm kind of afraid to touch it. I mean, it's so spectacular looking, all dusty and dirty. I really want to bring it out to some big event somewhere and share it with the world just as you see it. Now, I'm going to go through with a vacuum and suck the raccoon crap out of that because that's a health issue. But I don't want to do anything with it but stare at it right now and then share it with as many people as possible until I can really learn the whole history of this car. So, wrapping it up, yeah, I missed Monterey Car Week. I got COVID. It was pretty sick for a little bit. But in the end, it's the best thing that ever happened to me because this baby is sitting right here in the lab. So keep on hunting, everybody. Amazing finds are out there. You don't need to see them face to face. Sometimes you find them on the internet. You hear a tip from a friend. The stuff is out there. Spectacular things like this car sitting in a barn waiting for you to discover it. Please subscribe. Keep on digging them up and driving them, folks. This kind of stuff is fun. Thanks for watching. Bye-bye.